I guess we can start with your tweet, Zach, from the other day, from the Vanguard account. Let's take a look.
Sometimes I just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, everybody. And whenever I do, that's when I just take to Twitter. You know, if I'm like, God damn it, I'm a little grumpy this morning. Let me just fire off a couple of bullets. I'll delete half of them. And the other one, I'll pray go viral. And, you know, it's just part of my morning routine. Some people meditate. I make a cup of coffee, take a shit, and tweet some things that are pretty angry. You know, and this wasn't even directly aimed at Cenk. I was getting really here. Let me move this down so everybody can see. I wasn't even directly thinking about Cenk. I was thinking about the entire list of people I have going in the back of my mind who insisted that MAGA was actually going to be for the working class. The MAGA was, oh, Josh Hawley and JD Vance. They actually care about working issues, and the Democrats don't have anybody that actually is willing to stand up and fight for the working people. And this, you know, burgeoning cell in the Republican Party. Sean O'Brien sees it. That's the real place to work, with the working class. Like, you know, Glenn was all up on that fucking bandwagon for a while. Cenk was on that fucking bandwagon for a while. And it incensed me, because I was one of the, you and me, Gavin, obviously, the royal we, were out here like screaming our fucking heads off. Like, obviously that's not true. Like, go ahead, call me a shit lib. I don't care. I'm not going to be one of those dopes that falls for this stupid shit. I remember when Josh Hawley ran against coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. I remember when he ran supporting right to work. Okay, I remember all of these things about these people. Anyway, bill comes up, House of Representatives, HR bill. Is there going to be a single Republican that votes against the funding of Medicaid? No. And I can just see
didn't Thomas Massey vote against it?
Interesting. I thought that I'd read that it passed unanimously. But maybe there was one dissenter. Oh, no, you're right. Thomas Massey was the single dissenter. Okay.
Yeah, but again, not to give Thomas Massey any credit, it wasn't for the reasons we would hope. It's not like he was protesting this, you know.
Oh, no, for sure. So I guess, yeah, it was a near unanimous. So that's interesting. Well, shout out to Thomas Massey. He is the only self-sufficient, self-thinking Republican. And yeah, unfortunately, he's like evil bastard at heart. Anyway, long story short, none of them had the interest in saving Medicaid. None of them took a principled stand. And of course, Francesca chimes in. She never misses an opportunity to dunk on Cenk, just like us. She said, somebody told me this over and over and over again. Who was that? I wonder. And I want to give a special shout out to Francesca also, because I was randomly going through my own personal Instagram with some of my bartender homies that I follow, and a random, totally apolitical homie of mine put up a screenshot of a Francesca tweet. So I'm like, you're blowing up. You're getting broken into the mainstream, Francesca. Good for you.
Ooh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's always funny when you see just some like normie post a tweet or a screenshot of a tweet from someone that like we know, and they don't, but they're just like, oh, this is a good point. And you're like, yeah, it is.
Hell yeah, bro.
I've seen Kyle more good points before. Yeah, exactly. Kyle's tweets have, especially the beans ones, that's a lot of beans, you nasty ass bitch. That went mega viral. I think a lot of normies got that in their feed. They're probably like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, occasionally he'll show up on r/white people Twitter, you know, and with a real mega viral upvote.
Yup. Either way, Cenk has been just falling all over himself. Cenk and Anna have been falling all over themselves, like trying to be like, see, we were right about the MAGA base. They're in revolt already. This was basically like their whole show last night was this like stupid unearned victory lap, because like Laura Ingraham barely pushed back on this one Trump official for their China policy, and she was like, yeah, I don't know if it's a great idea to just let, you know, Chinese corporations buy up massive swaths of American land, and then proceeded to basically roll over and not really push back at all anymore. But because she said that one thing, Cenk and Anna want to come out here and act like, oh, see, we were right. The MAGA base is new and improved, and they're ready to revolt because of one thing Laura Ingraham said. So again, this is just a small taste of the unearned gloating that went on TYT over the last couple days. Check this out.
Look at Laura Ingraham calling out the donors, let alone everything else.
Yeah, I like it.
And what donor is she talking about? Because there is one donor that has a lot of deals with China, and his name rhymes with Tilon. So That was an interesting call out there. And so for everyone on the left who said, no, there'll never be any lack of unity on the right, that everyone in right-wing media and everyone in Trump voters will never break with him and they'll justify every single thing he does. There's Fox News and Laura Ingraham. By the way, this is just one of like 3 stories today where they're in open rebellion.
Well, look,
right? Look at Laura Ingraham calling.
And it's funny too, because to give them credit, the only thing that I actually saw some sort of open rebellion over is actually the handling of the Epstein file release. I don't know if you followed this, Zach, but it was absolutely hilarious. Trump and team were like, we're releasing the Epstein files. They actually just gave like a binder to several conservative influencers, and the binder contained already available information about Epstein associates. This was already publicly known information that I think has been on the FBI website for like years and years, since like the Obama administration, I believe. If not, maybe not Obama, maybe it was Biden, I don't know, but either way, this information has been publicly available. But the Trump people are so they think their own base is so dumb that they would actually believe that this is some new bombshell report, which did lead to a lot of backlash from Trump fans, including Jimmy Dore, who says here, this is not what anyone thought releasing the Epstein files is supposed to be. Anyone actually releasing the files would be releasing the files on the DOJ website so everyone can read them. Phase 1 of the Epstein files, what the fuck? About just release all the files. Jimmy was so mad about this, he couldn't even spell. He started saying ho and bullshit in 2 words instead of 1. This guy must have been 3 sheets to the wind. He was drunk as fuck. But either way, the only thing they actually care about is this. That's my point, because it's kind of salacious and it's kind of tabloid. And yes, obviously it's incredibly important and meaningful. But I do feel like this is the one kind of way to engage in anti-establishment politics, really kind of through the lens of this tabloid scandal, right? All these famous people going down because of Epstein. Like, this is more sexy than millions of people getting cut off of Medicaid or millions of people losing their SNAP benefits and the stuff that really truly affects everyday folks.
Yeah, 100%. And what's crazy is so you've got guys like Lex Fridman, right? This guy's supposed to be a genius, okay? This guy is all about like, oh, I work at MIT, oh, I'm really fair, oh, I'm just asking questions, I just want to have conversations and save the world, right? And he's such a gullible dope, though. One, okay, oh, I can't wait for the Epstein list to be released, right? And meanwhile, we've got the Epstein list already, as I tweeted out. Okay, look at this. This right here, that's your Epstein list. If anybody's curious, here's some more evidence for us to take a look at. And I'm sorry, guys, the internet here, not the best. Also, what's up, Francesca, in the chat? We threw up your response to the tweet we had about Cenk earlier, if you're curious about what was going on there. But we've got this guy right here. All the times that he was photographed together. This is in addition to the Michael Wolff hot mic, which was published a few years ago. So again, if you're such a genius, Mr. Lex Fridman, and you actually gave a single fuck about doing some homework, you would have remembered that the Daily Beast reported about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago at this point, that Jeffrey Epstein's on the phone referring to Donald as one of his best friends. Okay, talking about how they've known each other forever. Okay, that they've hung out constantly. So if you were really, really wrapped up in, oh, I care about pedophilia. Oh, I really care about groomers. Oh, well, I just, when it comes to children, it's just a hard line. You have to really protect them. Well, you would have never, ever gotten in the tank for Donald fucking Trump, the guy who used to sneak into little girls' pageants competition so he could see underage women getting dressed, underage girls getting dressed, not women, right? People who were teenagers. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. This guy is such a pervert, and anybody who cares about pretends to care about keeping young people safe, keeping children safe, and then getting into the tank, not just for Donald Trump, but for people like Peter Thiel, right? That's one of the things that's been resurfaced about this is Peter Thiel was one of the first people to start doing business with Jeffrey Epstein again after he got out of jail in Florida for being a sex offender, right? And for having sex with children. We knew that. Peter Thiel was like, I don't give a fuck. I want to keep having sex with children with you. Let's get back on that island, dog. You know what I mean? Oh, we're rich. Nobody cares. We'll re-launder our reputation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, imagine one of your friends like goes down for something like that, and then they get out of jail, and you're just like, "What's up, bro? Let's keep hanging out."
Oh yeah, dude. It means you're in on it. That's like when your buddy gets busted for like the bag of blow that you had on you at the club, and you're like, "Don't worry, bro. We're keeping the blow on my nuts tonight. Like we're going partying, brother. Like don't worry, I got it."
And shout out to Francesca who's in chat. It gets even more pitiful every day, doesn't it? As reality proves. Anna and Cenk wrong. Sure does. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they have much interest in inviting Francesca back on the show to make that point and to take that victory lap. Instead, Zach, instead of having on people like Francesca, a longtime member of the TYT family and someone whose commentary is already aging like wine, instead of inviting Francesca back on the show, let's take a look at who Cenk has in mind as a future guest. So two things we're doing at the Young Turks. We're asking our paying members if we should interview Steve Bannon. So far, it's 80-20. He doesn't say if that's 80 yes or 80 no. So you guys can decide for yourself. But vote if you're a member. Link below. Second, we're trying to get to 2,000 new members before the end of the month to show support for independent media. So he's like, oh, don't worry. Even if you, in case you hate this idea, in case you think it's a terrible idea for Steve Bannon to come on the Young Turks, the guy who literally threw up a Nazi salute less than a week ago, literally Sig Heiling in public, taking after Elon Musk. Don't worry. If you are against that idea, if you think it's a bad idea, you can make your voice heard by becoming a TYT member. All you have to do is join the TYT army, and then you can vote in this stupid poll to try to convince Cenk not to have Steve Bannon on, not to platform this literal Nazi on the home of progressives, right? What a ridiculous scheme in order to get more members. And that's obviously completely disregarding the fact that this is a stupid idea. No, we don't need to understand Steve Bannon, just like how we don't need to understand Dr. Phil. These people are the enemy. They need to be defeated, not sympathized with or empathized with.
Yeah, it's almost like Anna and Cenk went to some sort of an advanced science fiction convention, and it's a big hall, and there's lots of curtains and lots of booths, and somehow they go into a booth where it's not science fiction, it's real hyper advanced technology, but you're not allowed to go in there. And so because they didn't know the proper handshakes and they couldn't pay off the requisite individuals, they had to have their entire memories wiped. And it was something as a preventative measure. You don't want to be you can't give these people like brain dead amnesia. You don't want them turning into vegetables and having to roll them out in the middle of a convention center. So it's selective memory wiping. But somehow, I'm not a neuroscientist, so beats me, that 2016 to 2024, the entire political time period that they were supposed to be covering professionally for money from a progressive POV, from a resistance POV, right? They've wiped that from their entire memory. They have no recollection of the fact that Steve Bannon dreamt up and orchestrated the entire MAGA movement the first time around. Okay, the things that you might remember that Steve Bannon came up with, building a fucking wall. Hello, that was evil and crazy. Remember when we could all just sit back and be like, holy shit, how evil and crazy is this idea? How barbaric and stupid, how regressive and un-American is it that we would build a fucking wall to bar ourselves off from our neighbors? This is 2025. This is the digital age. This is the age of connection. And we are going to bar ourselves off from the neighbors. I guess it was 2016 at the time. Same shit. Right? Completely ridiculous. Not only that, but he was all up in bed with the Groypers. He was a leader of the hardline America First nationalist rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric. Okay, the guy's no friend to any leftist cause, period. and they're going to act like somehow he was like the moral arbiter of the Trump movement, how this is the kind of guy that we need to be collaborating with because he's true. Later on in that TYT episode, Anna starts complaining that the real MAGA movement has been hijacked by corporations. Are you fucking stupid? Do you not understand what the entire MAGA movement was? It was always a con. Steve Bannon was going to go to jail for duping people out of millions of dollars because he started a GoFundMe to build a wall that he was never going to fucking build with that money. It was a self-enrichment scheme. He's like a diet Donald Trump. He is a fatter, uglier, shorter, sillier, less adept Donald Trump, okay? And that's the kind of guy that you're now looking up to and you're spoon feeding to your audience. He's the kind of guy that you should be dunking on in a tank, not interviewing fawningly because your members told you so. And we all know you're not going to get 2,000 new members. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, obviously not over this. So stupid. And then before we move on, one more. Here's again, Cenk gloating. Brett Baer challenging the gold card scheme. Laura Ingraham challenging the idea to bring more Chinese investment into the country. Nearly all of MAGA challenging Trump on that dumb Trump Gaza AI video he sent around. There's a decent amount of independent thought inside MAGA. And it's funny because almost everyone he's talking about is a literal MAGA propagandist. Like, you realize that they know what they're doing, right? Like, this is part of their job. To pretend like, oh, now that the guy who we manufactured consent for to be in power is in power, oh, we have some notes and we're still members of the, public that are subject to this administration. And we have some pushback. No, bullshit. It's all just a fucking charade to make it seem like these journalists, like these Fox News anchors are journalists and not just straight up propagandists, which is what they actually are. But guess what? Even if someone like Laura Ingraham really, thought it was necessary to challenge the Trump administration, even if all these fucking idiots now are realizing that Trump isn't who we thought they were or something. Okay, well, guess what? It's too fucking late. It's too fucking late. Donald Trump is the president, and he declared himself our king like a week ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the pushback to that, Laura Ingraham? Are you going to call for the fucking removal of this guy who is our president, who is calling himself the king? Because I don't know, Zach, I remember a pretty lengthy portion of our school. I think it was in elementary school, middle school, high school. We learned about what happened to, the former king of this country and how Americans reacted and revolted. Are you going to call for a fucking revolution? Right? Like, because that's what's necessary if you really want to push back against this fascist fucking administration.
Yeah, right. Well, you see, actually, Mr. Kash Patel, the new FBI guy, he says it's actually cool we have a king, bro. Catch up. You haven't read the news.
Yup. Either way, pretty crazy stuff. I guess that basically rounds out our segment on the Young Turks, unless you had anything else to mention.
Nope, just more of Cenk Uygur's takes, aging like milk, more of antics. I don't know why they're folding themselves up into a pretzel to pretend like MAGA is the authentic resistance. You know what I mean? Like, why not take this time to talk about how Bernie Sanders is leading a tour against the oligarchy? Why not take this time to talk about how, you know what? When the dust settled, there really only was one guy. There was only one dude who stayed true, who was like, I'm going to continue to battle every single fucking day. I don't care how cold it is. I don't care how wet and windy it is. I'm going to continue to trudge forward in the snow and make my voice heard and do this for the cause that I believe in. And have I always agreed with Bernie Sanders? Fuck no. He's made me want to pull my hair out, okay? He's made me want to fucking cut off my own limbs and eat them. And I hate being alive. I wish you would have a little more spine in you, Bernie Sanders. But I'm telling you right now, when you look around you, and you look at the people who are actively involved in politics, who have a platform, it is not even up for discussion. He is leaps and bounds ahead of all of them. And so to be trying to do this weird, cognitive gymnastics to make MAGA the resistance and like, oh, they're getting co-opted by, corporations. It's like, no, dude, it's so pathetic. It's so lousy. It's so see-through. I don't know. They're just going to keep circling the drain and we're going to keep documenting it. But I mean, yeah, God, it's so sad to watch.
And it's weird because most of it doesn't even seem to actually just be their objective analysis or commentary. It really just seems to all be based on like, see, we were right about MAGA. See, look, this kind of vindicates that stupid thing that Silly and Billy mocked us for saying 2 months ago or something. Like, that kind of, is that not what seems to be the actual impetus behind all of this recent MAGA glazing that we see?
Oh yeah, it's like when a scientist gets married to their hypothesis, and no matter what evidence they come to, across, they have to interpret it as something that's going to lead them back to justifying their hypothesis, and that's super poisonous in that field. That's why we practice the scientific method. All right, we need a progressive journalistic method. Okay, we need to have some charts. Okay, we need to have some structures. Okay, can you follow a checklist, please, for media literacy? Maybe we'll devise one and send it to Cenk and Anna just to, help them get through the day a little easier with a less humiliation.
Yep. And shout out to Francesca for the super kind donation. Thank you guys for pointing out the code switching Cenk and Anna do on various platforms for hate watching where we can't, and also for your solid analysis in doing so. Well, thank you so much, Francesca. And same goes for you. Everyone definitely go check out and subscribe to the Bitchuation Room if you're not already. And I've also really been enjoying the new Zateo show. So congrats on that as well, Francesca.
Oh yeah, dude, fucking leave TYT in the dust behind you. You're in a way cooler spot with Zateo. And I was telling Gavin before we went live, I was super stoked. One of my homies that's like totally apolitical, that is not, they don't watch our show. They don't even know that I fucking do a show, probably, really. And I saw them post a screenshot of one of your tweets, and I was like, fuck yeah, Francesca's mainstreaming, dude. So good stuff.
Do you remember
thank
what
you so much for the kind words.
Do you remember what the tweet was, Zach?
It was about Andrew Tate and how we were importing rapists and something like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Everyone follow Francesca. But either way, and thanks for chiming in to bolster our point against TYT on Twitter. That was pretty epic.